Let's talk about spaghetti and meatballs. Welcome back to Sprung on Food. I'm your host, Kay Sprung. This season, we're talking about favorite foods, the history behind it, and the role it plays in the world today. Joining me today is writer and actor Dana Quercioli. Dana, welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited. Thank you for having me.
I am very excited that you are here. You are a hilarious person, and your favorite food, very excited to talk about spaghetti and meatballs. I've got to know all about your relationship with this food and why it's your favorite.
Okay, so firstly, I'm a pretty Italian person. I should say very. I don't know what that sounds like. I'm so pretty. I am a person who grew up with like Sunday sauce on the table, every week, and so it's not just the most delicious food to me, but it's also like it's home, it's love, it's just my childhood and it's family. So I am that person who's like, some people use food as fuel, and I know that is a thing and it's important, but to me, like food is love. So that is
Mhm.
my relationship with it.
And why spaghetti and meatballs specifically?
It's the number one food. Like I have talked to my mom about this. If I were on death row, and I hope that never happens, but if I were on death row,
Same.
it would be my death row meal because it's just the if you've ever, I'm sure every culture has this and every family has this, but like when I'm home and my mom makes spaghetti, or my grandma did, or my aunts or my sisters, and I'm eating their food specifically, it just is right. It just is right. And it's so good and it's so special and warm. I don't know. It's like a warm feeling in your belly. It's a warm feeling in your heart. It's everything. And I think there's no more delicious a food than pasta.
I love it. Do you have a secret or maybe not so secret family recipe? Is there anything unique that your grandmother or mom did or does that makes it just more unique or better than you've had it anywhere else?
I will say yes, but if I tell you what the thing is, my mother will kill me. And
Okay. And
the
then
thing is,
probably me as well. So
right, and my
and
mom,
but then you would get your death row meal.
it's true. That's true. She would put me on death row herself, my mother.
Yep.
One
Yep.
time my mom's best friend asked her for our family recipe. My mom's best friend, I mean, thick as thieves. And my mother gave it to her one ingredient at a time over the course of like 3 years. Truly, like guarding it like it's Fort Knox.
Oh, I'm so intrigued about that strategy. What does that do? One, just to see if the friend is willing to wait for the rest of it, and did she end up including all the ingredients, or was there maybe like
Oh,
something left out, or
that's a really great question. I never asked her if she gave her like
Mm.
the full thing. But yeah, like I don't know. I think she just was kind of like being a goof. She was like, "Yeah, I'll give it to you, but you're gonna have to wait for it. You're gonna have to earn it."
Yeah, what an excellent strategy. It kind of like reminds me a little bit. I don't know if you'd ever watched the show Everybody Love is it Everybody Loves Raymond? So there was an episode, a reoccurring theme that, his mom is like the best cook that ever there was, and his wife is like not the best cook. And so there's this one episode where his wife ends up, I think, asking for the recipe for Ray's like favorite meal that his mom makes him. And so she was like, after a little bit, I think, of pushback, she was probably like, okay, fine. So she gives her the recipe, she makes it to a T, and he eats it and he's like, I don't know. Flash forward, spoily. It's not a new show, but spoily in case anybody like wants to see it and hasn't. She leaves out an ingredient on purpose to almost like sabotage her. And so I was wondering if your mom may have also done something similar, given her the recipe, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, but then like left out like a key singular ingredient or something.
I honestly wouldn't be surprised. And any sauces like spaghetti sauce, and for so many like Italian dishes, the key ingredient is thyme. And you
Mm.
just rush it. So if somebody's telling you like I'm gonna whip up a pot of spaghetti sauce, then that's a warning. Like you can't whip it up. It's gotta simmer. It's gotta cook.
Oh, that's excellent. Okay, so if it's whipped up, red flag. And what would you say is the optimal amount of time? that it should take to get everything perfect?
Okay, that's a great question. So my mom would get up, and I do this too. Like if on Sunday mornings, and for some reason I like, even if I'm cooking on a Saturday, I will get up early. And so my mom would get up at like 7. The sauce would be on the stove probably by 8, and then we would eat probably by 3. So
Mm.
that's minimum. It's just so good. They have all those ingredients. They gotta fall in love. They gotta marry. They gotta mate.
Yes, this is not a shotgun wedding. You have to, yeah, low and slow, do it right. Oh, respect. I love that so much. Okay, this is a good barometer then. Everybody, take note. If the word is whipped up, exit stage left. Get out of there.
I think so, in my personal opinion. And I know I will say this, like my family and a lot of Italian families, like we don't use veal, but we use like ground beef and then pork. And so there's always like, and not just pork sausage, like sometimes like a pork shoulder or so like different pieces of pork because it'll sweeten up the sauce a little bit. So it's like, you get a nice mix of that, like kind of gorgeous, like unctuous. It's perfect. Is
Oh,
unctuous I'm wondering if unctuous is the right word. And now I
sure,
gotta look
why
that up.
not? Yeah, why not? And if it's not, I'll take it out and you'll sound great. So it's fine. Uh yes, well, and also, I don't want you maybe spilling too many details about the sauce if your mom ever catches wind of this episode. So to better understand and appreciate our food, we've got to know where it came from. If there's one dish that screams comfort, nostalgia, and a heaping dose of carb-fueled joy, it's spaghetti and meatballs. It's a Sunday night dinner in so many households and the classic go-to on every red and white checkered tablecloth. But the story of this beloved dish, oh, it's way more tangled than just the pasta itself. Let's start with the components. We've got spaghetti, meatballs, tomato sauce. Great. Each of these has a rich, separate history, and only later do they come together in the culinary crossover event of this century. We start with spaghetti, or more broadly, pasta. It dates back over 2,000 years. While there's always that myth that Marco Polo brought noodles from China, the truth is, the ancient Greeks and Romans were already boiling flour and water dough into various pasta shapes long before Marco ever hit the Silk Road. By the 12th and 13th centuries, pasta was a well-established staple in Italy, especially in the south, where semolina wheat grew abundantly. And spaghetti specifically began appearing in written records around the 12th century in Sicily. The name derives from spago, meaning, Dana, do you know what spago means?
Oh my God, I don't.
Would you like to
So
take
embarrassing.
would you like to take a guess of what you think it might mean?
This is embarrassing because I'm doing Duolingo. I should know this. What does it mean?
It
Big
maybe
block.
I don't know if this vocab word would come up. You know what? I'm thinking of the other language. I only speak one other language technically, and like I would say a half of a third language, and I don't think I know that this word in those languages. So there's no pressure. But now you will know. So take that, Duolingo. So spago means string in Italian, and spaghetti being little strings. It's very adorable.
So
But here,
cute.
it's so cute. But here's a key thing to understand. For centuries, pasta was eaten either plain, with cheese, or occasionally with olive oil and herbs. No tomato sauce, no meatballs. Because guess what? Tomatoes are not native to Italy. Tomatoes come from the Americas, brought back by Spanish conquistadors in the 16th century. And for nearly 200 years, Italians didn't trust them. They were considered ornamental, possibly poisonous, and not widely consumed until the 18th century. By the late 1700s and early 1800s, tomatoes had finally made their way into Neapolitan cuisine. The earliest known Italian recipe for tomato sauce with pasta comes from the 1790 cookbook L'Appicio Moderno by Roman chef Francesco Leonardi. And if you want to know more about the history of tomatoes, you can check out that Sprung On Food episode on YouTube or available wherever you get your podcasts. Now, meatballs, on the other hand, go way back, even further than pasta. Most every culture has a version of ground meat formed into a ball. Ancient Persians had kofta, the Chinese had pork balls, and the Romans were making mincemeat dishes as early as the 1st century. In southern Italy, particularly in the regions of Naples, Calabria, and Sicily, the local version is called polpette. These meatballs are typically small, like walnut-sized. and often made from leftover bread, cheese, eggs, and just a little meat because meat was expensive. Polpette were usually eaten alone or in broth, not in pasta. Dana, we've got our three major components so far. They haven't officially joined forces in our story just yet. Are there three ingredients independently that you can think of that you would make your own unique dish of them coming all together in a beautiful, harmonious way?
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, there's things that like you wouldn't expect, like lemon and cream and pistachio, right? Like if you combine those
Oh,
things to make like a ravioli with that sauce, that's a beautiful sauce. Like maybe I'm only thinking sauces right now, but
that's
I
okay.
also love artichoke, tomato, basil. Like these are
Ooh,
things that I love to combine.
I
What
love
about you?
those.
Yeah, what
Oh,
do you
like, I mean, whoever was the first person to say, "You know what? We've got tomato sauce, we've got spaghetti, we've got meatballs." And, like, it all makes sense now, but at the
Yeah.
time, like, ooh la la. Yeah, so I just feel like there's been so much culinary innovation at this point, but I'm sure there's wiggle room for new and exciting dishes that I just can't even conjure up in my mind's eye yet.
There has to be. But did you ever sometimes I'll think about like somebody sat down and was
Mhm.
like, I'm gonna put this flour, well, I'm gonna find this wheat and then I'm gonna grind it and then I'm gonna put it together with water and I'm gonna put it together with whatever ingredients and put it in a fire and make bread. Like somebody thought to make it. That is
Yes.
so mind-blowing to me.
Yes, literally I think every episode that I've done thus far that requires some people choose ingredients that just naturally grow in the ground. Wonderful, like the episode of tomatoes. So that just has to do with the earth. But when it comes to, yeah, just like the bread or a pasta noodle, a lot of times it's like, how the hell did they even think? Like, so a lot of it has to be by accident, right? Because it's like, unless you completely understood food science and chemistry of these ingredients that what the hell? How do
Mm,
you even know to do it? So a lot of times it's either trial and error or just pure accident. I think with a lot of these foods too, including the tomatoes, a lot of people did think that they were poisonous initially. And so to then get somebody to show you by trying it and waiting and saying, "I'm not dead yet," for everybody
right.
else to jump on board, it's a wild and crazy thing.
It is. And also think if the person who tried it was allergic to that thing randomly and they tried, they never would have had this
Could
is
you
so
could you imagine the horrible luck of that?
that's
Oh,
honestly like, oh, she, yeah, she was trying to prove that tomatoes were edible, but she's allergic to tomatoes, so she died. That's something like to me.
oh, no. Well, blessings that that is not tasked on you and
Truly,
somebody else took the lead on that one, and now we know today that tomatoes are safe and they're okay to eat, so thank you to those individuals for your service.
truly.
Now, let's fast forward to the late 1800s and early 1900s. This is where the story of spaghetti and meatballs truly begins. Between 1880 and 1924, more than 4 million Italians immigrated to the United States, most from impoverished regions in southern Italy. They settled in cities like New York, Boston, and Chicago, bringing with them their culinary traditions, but also adapting rapidly to a new land. In Italy, meat was a luxury. In America, it was plentiful and affordable. Italian immigrants found jobs in factories, and with better wages came more access to beef, pork, and veal. Suddenly, what was once a rare treat back home became a regular part of the diet. Meatballs grew in size, flavor, and richness. Spaghetti, thanks to industrialization, was cheap and widely available. Italian pasta makers like Ranzoni and De Cecco started mass producing it in the US. And canned tomatoes? They were a game changer. Products like Hunt's and Contendita made it easier than ever to prepare tomato sauce without starting from scratch. Dana, are there any products, food or beverage that you've encountered when traveling either domestically to a different city or state or internationally that you found are like very hard to find here but delighted to find elsewhere in another place?
Yes. th- this is a great question. The first thing, I think the first time, because I grew up like a poor kid, like we didn't really travel outside of the country. So I didn't start to travel really until I started touring with Second City. So like I had never been abroad, things like that. If we're talking about things like so simple, but Nutella at first, like
Aha.
before a huge thing, we went abroad and everybody was like eating this hazelnut spread. And then it was like, oh my God, this is so delicious. So I think my first like introduction to it was truly something like Nutella or like
Mm.
the Manor wafers, like the candy with the
Oh, I
hazelnuts.
don't know. Oh, I don't know these. What are these like?
Oh my God. They're everywhere. You know, those like wafer sandwiches that have like they'll have like vanilla or strawberry or chocolate or a hazelnut spread in them. They're like a little crunchy.
Oh, yeah, like the sugar wafers, cookies, or
Yes.
oh,
Yes.
I've never seen them with hazelnut spread.
Oh, they're called, I don't know if it's Manner, Manner,
Okay.
and they are truly delicious. I guess a lot of the things are sweet. Like I went to Amsterdam and tried stroopwafels for the first time. And this was like, again, years ago,
Yeah.
probably almost years ago. And like it's always been like little sweet things, not
Yeah.
counting like when I went to Canada, we tried poutine. And then there's this doesn't count, but it's not a food, but it is something that helps you with it's a digestif, and it's like it's called brioche or galeffi. It's like a
Oh,
sparkling, essentially, like a what's it called, Alka-Seltzer, but it's like
oh,
delicious, tastes lemony and good. It's an effervescent, and Italians drink it like to help with digestion.
oh, like, after, the day, after every meal, no
I
rules?
think Yeah, I think no rules. I think it's just to prevent like agita. Like they don't want indigestion. They're gonna
Perfect.
prosper. They're gonna eat acidic foods, and then they're like, and now I'm gonna drink a shot of this, brioche or a galeffi, and it'll make it all go away.
I love that. Is that in their marketing, "Aja to be gone," or their tagline?
See? You're handing them that, then they should
Oh.
be using it.
Oh, wow, okay, so put me in touch with those people. I've got some, consulting to do. So, what happens when you combine bigger meatballs with easy-to-cook spaghetti and no shortage of canned tomato sauce? Well, a brand new dish is born, one that didn't exist in Italy in this form, but made perfect sense in the new world. And it wasn't just about flavor. This was culinary identity building. Italian immigrants, often facing discrimination and working to assimilate, used food as a way to hold on to their roots while embracing American culture. Spaghetti and meatballs became a staple of Italian American households, especially on Sundays when extended family would gather, sauce would simmer all day. Now, the origin story of Sunday sauce takes us straight to Naples in southern Italy, land of pizza, drama, and sauce is so good they can make you cry tears of joy. This version of ragu isn't to be confused with the more prim and proper northern Italian bolognese, which is made of finely ground meat. Neapolitan ragu is chaos in the best way. It's hunks of beef, whole sausages, maybe even a pork chop or two, tossed into a pot of simmering tomatoes like they're going into a meat jacuzzi. The idea was to let the meat slow cook and melt into the sauce. It didn't just flavor the sauce, it became the main course, served separately or over pasta. Dana, you did talk a little bit about your Sunday sauce traditions. Were there any other specifics, without putting your head on the chopping block, of the types of things that you all made, or maybe some of the tradition or practice of doing that on Sundays that you remember and hold dear?
Oh my God, there are truly so many. There are things that used to get like my sisters and I in trouble, which
Oh,
because so my mom would go to I'm from Cleveland, and there's a Italian import store called Ferrara's that my mom would go, and she would get, and they have the best Italian bread. And there's a type of Italian bread that I have not been able to find here. And out there it's called scala bread or
mm.
scalette. And it's like a delicious, it's got a sesame seed and it's crusty and perfect on the inside. My
Ooh.
mom would go, oh my God, it's so good. I truly am like, you need to ship me some.
Oh,
So
yes.
it makes the best toast and the best grilled cheese, and on my life. But yeah, so my mom would go to Ferrara's and get some scalette bread, and she would get some really good mozzarella, and then she would make sure that she had like shredded mozzarella but also sliced. And my sisters and I would like roll up a slice of mozzarella cheese, and as after the sauce had been cooking for a little bit, and we would like dip it in the sauce directly, and then just pull it out right as it was getting melty and then just take a bite out of it. And that is to me a luxury that even like when I'm cooking, like when I'm making my own sauce, I'll make sure that I have like some sliced mozzarella that's like really good mozzarella to dip it because it's like so it gets so stringy, or even like the fresh bread. My mom used to have to buy 2 loaves of bread because the morning of, like while it was cooking, my sisters and I would like devour a loaf of bread, just like because it takes so long and it smells so good.
It starts at 8. It's wrapping up around 3 o'clock. You've got all those hours. You need a snack in the middle. Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
Sometimes she would make brajol, which I don't know if you ever had brajol.
I have not, but now that you say it, that is the food that was Ray's favorite on the show that his wife tried to make and couldn't get it right because the mom gave him.
Brajol?
Yep. It was for
That's
that full
wild.
circle moment. Yep.
Oh, brajol, so good. It's just like it's like a meat. It's pounded out. It's very tender, and then it's like rolled with like a breadcrumb kind of filling, and then you tie it with string, and so you put it in the sauce to cook, and then when it's done, you take the string off, cut it up into like these little perfectly like rolled up. It's perfect. It's so good.
So you and Ray's character have that very much in common. Yeah, that was exactly the dish. So it is truly an art form that not everybody can nail. So you got the best of the best. Now, while there isn't a singular person credited with the spaghetti and meatballs combination, the first written mention in a cookbook was in 1888. Juliette Corson's Family Living on $500 a Year includes a recipe combining pasta, meatballs, and tomato sauce, making it one of the earliest known written references of the dish. By the 1920s and 30s, spaghetti and meatballs had cemented its place on restaurant menus across the United States, especially in Italian-American eateries. These were called red sauce joints, and they leaned hard into the hearty, comforting family-style theme. Think garlic bread, Chianti and straw-covered bottles, and yes, giant bowls of pasta topped with meatballs the size of your fist. The 1950s brought another boost, post-war prosperity, the rise of suburban living, and the golden age of canned and frozen food. Brands like Chef Boyardee popularized spaghetti and meatballs in canned form, making it a staple in school lunches and quick dinners. Dana, I don't know if this would be blasphemy in your household, but have you ever had Chef Boyardee pasta meals?
It really wasn't prevalent in our home.
Yeah, right.
We never had like ragu or prego or anything like that. Like we were not a canned or jarred spaghetti sauce family, but I would be remiss if I didn't show you, and only because it's right here. My Uncle Dwight looks so much like Chef Boyardee.
Oh
And if
my
you look
gosh.
if you look at a picture of Chef Boyardee and you look at a picture of my Uncle Dwight, nobody discovered it until my nephew was like 3. And we were walking in the grocery store and he turned
It's
to my
like,
picture and went, Uncle Dwight. And it is, if you do a side by side of Chef Boyardee and my Uncle Dwight, it is absolutely uncanny.
did Uncle Dwight ever dress up as him for Halloween?
He has, oh my God, no. What are we waiting for?
What are
We gotta
you
get him.
waiting for? Get the little
Oh my
chef's
God.
hat, the little, I don't know if he wears like a scarf, like a chef coat or something. So easy to get. You could just get that
Yeah, I
online.
feel like he's wearing a white coat with a red scarf, right? I feel like,
Probably.
and
Yeah. It carries around a can of it. Done. The best execution of
writing
that.
it down.
You're welcome. We're doing lots today. This is great. I can't wait to see the photo of next Halloween and the costume. This is going to be very exciting.
Fun fact about Chef Boyardee, I believe he was from Cleveland, Ohio. My
Is
hometown.
Dwight Chef Boyardee?
If
Oh
I'm
my
speaking
god.
out of turn, I think he was from Ohio. I might be wrong about that.
Well, what do you think about our backstory of spaghetti and meatballs?
I did not know any of it.
Really?
Yes, and actually, when I was listening to other podcasts of yours to like get ready for this, I was like, oh my God, I don't know anything about anything when it comes to where things started, how they started. The chocolate chip cookie one blew my mind. I'm just like,
Oh.
it's truly amazing.
Yes.
It really is. I would have thought that, learning that it started here essentially is wild. And that a woman with a non-vowel ending last name is the person who first put it in a cookbook. That's
Yeah.
weird too.
You're like, "What the heck?" Well, so the interesting thing too, the transformation and assimilation of certain dishes and the cultural influence of foods in different regions and areas, and sometimes, the cultures that have created those dish are not properly or widely credited, and then we'll see something published and maybe it was actually from a different source, and because it was so long ago, there's nobody around today to be like, "No, no, no, that's not right." So
Right.
it is interesting. Unfortunately, I just don't have a way to discover unless I go somewhere and start hitting the microfiche. I'm not sure if I'll be able to pull that up in a timely fashion, but who knows, right? Who knows?
Also, kudos for knowing microfiche and
Oh,
referencing it. And long live
try to do it
microfiche.
once a day. No, I'm just kidding.
I long for the days of, remember like in movies when they would like where they were trying to research something and like dig up dirt and they'd end up at a microfiche machine and like, oh, the drama. We
It's
don't
the
get
only
that anymore. I love, but honestly, like warms my heart to hear microfiche used in a modern day podcast. So thank you for that.
well, thank you. Well, Hollywood added even more star power to the dish and its popularity in pop culture. In 1955, Disney's Lady and the Tramp delivered one of the most iconic romantic food scenes of all time. Two dogs sharing a strand of spaghetti, their nose meeting over a meatball. Cue the collective. Aww. In 1963, folk singer Tom Glazer wrote the popular children's song On Top of Spaghetti, which, of course, features losing a poor meatball because some monster of a person sneezes on it. And from 1982 to 1983, Meatballs and Spaghetti was an American animated television series that aired on CBS. Dana, have you ever heard of this show?
No.
It
What can you tell
was
me about
well,
spaghetti?
it was very short-lived, but based on, maybe just the title, would you like to venture a guess on maybe what the premise of the show was?
Okay, Dom DeLuise is a single man in New York City, and he opens a restaurant. And I want to say, geez, what is the conceit of the show? I don't know. That he's a struggling restaurateur and a single man who's trying to find love and woo women with his cooking skills.
I'm ready to greenlight this show. This is great. That's a fabulous guess. It's not at all the premise of this show, but I like yours so much better. This one's a little bit trippy and just coming off of the heels of I guess a little bit like hippie culture. So it follows the adventures of a husband and wife singing duo named Meatballs and Spaghetti as they toured the country in their mobile home, and the animation looks very much in the same vein of like Scooby-Doo. So maybe probably not at all what you expected.
No, I was so wrong. I would have never guessed a dog drummer. I could, like when I saw the man, like the lead, I'm guessing he's either Meatballs or Spaghetti. That could be Dom DeLuise. More hair, certainly, than Dom DeLuise. But everything else is a true shocker to me.
Yeah,
If you think for 1 second I'm not going to go back and watch that entire episode, you are wrong. That is a 26-minute YouTube clip, and I am going to watch all 26 minutes of it.
fabulous. Well, the dish also shows up in everything from The Godfather to The Sopranos, always symbolizing either familial love or old school Italian American life. Today, spaghetti and meatballs is still going undeniably strong, celebrating the food of the immigrant experience as a legitimate part of the Italian culinary diaspora. And few dishes have resonated more deeply across generations, regions, and even species. Shout out again to Lady and the Tramp. Dana, are there any other pop culture moments or final words you have about spaghetti and meatballs?
If I may, would like to just give people a tip. When you're making meatballs, they should not be hard. They shouldn't be hockey pucks. They should be soft. And I will say that if you're trying to like be healthy and eat a meatball, just don't eat the meatball. It's got to be at least 80-20. Like the fat content has to be 80% lean, 20% fat. Otherwise, it's going to be dry as hell and you won't be able to enjoy it. but you have to like some people. I'm not here to tell you whether you should brown them first or not. We are a brown them first family.
Okay.
So like we brown the outside of the meatballs and then we put them in the sauce to cook the rest of the way. So they hold their shape a little bit. I'm not here to tell you if you want to do that, you do that. That's up to you. But I will say, if you're using like 90-10 or like a super lean meat, your meatballs are going to be disgusting. They're just going to, because there's not enough fat that you should be able to cut through them like butter with a hot knife. It should just go right through. It should kind of almost melt in your mouth. There's no reason for dry, like hockey puck style. I guess maybe golf ball is a better way to say it. Meatballs. There's no reason. You shouldn't be able to like throw it and break a window. They should be
Oh,
so soft and they should be so buttery and delicious and good. Buttery is the wrong word, but so is unctuous. There's no.
there's no wrong word. It's you're weaving your own beautiful tapestry of
Yeah.
descriptive words, and that's an excellent tip. I don't know who these people are who would opt for golf balls of meatballs, but everybody needs to listen to your tip here. This is for the best user experience.
Yes. And I am a person who is like I cook with love and but I also cook with flavor. When you love someone, you're going to love them in a lot of different ways, a lot of different levels. And that's flavor. You just
Oh,
got to add flavor.
that's beautiful. I love that. Dana, thank you so much for sharing your love of spaghetti and meatballs and helping me to tell its story.
Oh my gosh, thank you for teaching me. I learned so much today. I'm truly amazed.
Oh,
Thank
well,
you.
it's my pleasure. I'm so glad I could do that. Thanks for watching. You can find links and more info in the description below. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. See you next time.